Happy Monday, everybody. Okay, in case you haven't heard, we have a new president. Well, president-elect. That's right. Last Tuesday, President Donald Trump won the election. So the man who was our 45th president will now be our 47th president. Now, I'm not going to get into what this means politically. Really, what I'm interested in expressing to you is what this means economically. So let's start with what happened the very next day, Wednesday, November 6th, the day after the election. The stock market surged, the best day of the year, actually, in its jump. The Dow rose by over 3%. The markets were just celebrating, I think, a pro-capitalist president. Now let's look at that though. So in the stock market, let's look at some of the biggest performers. One of them, and this, I don't know how many of you follow this, but shouldn't be a surprise, Tesla. Tesla had a single day 15% jump. Now that had a big effect on the stock market. Why did it jump 15%? Was it because Tesla reported its earnings the day before? No. Did they announce that they had sold a lot more cars? No. Uh, what happened was Donald Trump won, and Elon Musk had been really endorsing Donald Trump to be president. So as Donald Trump won, Tesla stock went up. But what stands out to me is that Tesla is still an electric car company, and Donald Trump has been very outspoken that he doesn't love electric cars. He wants to drill, baby, drill, right? Oil. That oil isn't a friend of electric cars. Now, I'm not going to get into all the nitty gritty between, Elon Musk and oil and all that, but just big picture, the news that Donald Trump won shouldn't necessarily mean that Tesla is now worth a lot more. They didn't report any new earnings. Their sales were okay, but not stunning. I think their stock is still greatly overvalued compared to the number of cars they sell every year, and yet it jumped 15%. And the whole stock market did that. So why did it happen? Well, I think it's a very emotionally driven day. And this week, actually, there's been some ups and downs since that Wednesday, but it's ending up higher over the week. Now, here's what I've been talking about with our clients. A one data point doesn't mark a trend. Donald Trump isn't president yet, right? Not until next year. And there's still a lot of economic turmoil going on. The United States is still racking up greater and greater debt. Interest rates are still high. Oh, the Fed actually did lower the interest rates by 0.25% this week also. But interest rates are still high. And I don't expect them to be coming down too low anytime in the near future without unleashing even greater inflation. What else? Individuals, savings accounts are still at very low lows since before the pandemic. Credit card debt is still at the highest level ever. Delinquencies for car loans is still high. Inflation is still high. Now, here's the other thing. Donald Trump wants to bring forward tariffs, right? In the long term, that will help manufacturing in the United States. But in the short term, that's going to raise prices. Tariffs will be passed on to the consumer. Now, it'll also affect the corporations, incentivizing them to bring their operations here in the United States. But I kind of think of it like a gardener pruning back a bush. Now, the long term goal is to create a healthier plant. But in the short term, there's pain and destruction to create a healthier environment later on. And that's the way the tariffs would work. So, oh, and then here's the other thing that is currently in place is the yield curve. It's still inverted. All of those things didn't change Tuesday with the election. So Wednesday's uh, stock market bump is clearly just an emotion-driven rally. Now, on the flip side, we saw gold drop, not inversely as high as the stock market jumped, but it still had a big one-day fall. I think 2.5%. Now, if you look again, one data point doesn't make a trend. And if you look at just this month alone, the price of gold is still higher than it was at the beginning of the month. So a trend hasn't started or a trend hasn't changed. I think the trends are still going to continue on the way they've been for a while. This is just a hiccup. Now, what I am hoping for is that long term, the United States gets their debt under control and starts creating more jobs and more manufacturing here stateside. We become more energy independent, but there's going to be a lot of work before that kicks in. So I had a few phone calls this week. Are we going to change our strategy now that Trump won the election? No, not right away. There's still the economy globally is still a mess. Now, do I have hope in the long term? Yes, I do. But there's going to be uh, several things that have to change before we start to change our strategy, and we're going in the right direction. So, with that, I hope you all have a great week and see you next week. Oh, if you like this video, give us a thumbs up. All right, take care. Bye bye.